Narayanam namaskritam naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tito jayodhirayat nashta prayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttamashoki bhaktir bhavati naistiki nigama kapalu karitam param shukamakaram ritadravi samitam pibata bhagatam rashamariam mahora sika bhuvi bhaukaham Krishna Swadhamapagate Dhamagini Karonashtadi Shamasha Paranako Dunoditaham Amapiyadavashuta Vishwatam Vivo Samapiyadena Vidam Vidaksaram Prakyahidaho Maharidatvanam Sankeshinavanam Usanti Nanyataham Chakvashadaram Charadam Bhujamhare Bhajana Pakpatopatapite Yakatavada Karavadamabuddhimuchishim Om Ganatimarandasya Ganagana Salakya Chaksurun Miritam Yana Tajmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yana Bhutare Swayam Rupakaramayam Tadati Sahapanadikam Vandeham Sri Guru Suyata Parakamaram Sri Gurun Vaishnavam Sya Sri Rupam Sagadadam Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Stam Sadevam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Paran Sahagana Lalita Shivishakan Vitamscha Brahma Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutare Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Dinamane Namaste Sarasati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesa Sanyavadi Praskita De Sarhare Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasari Go Bhaktavindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Wisdom Wednesday, thank you. It looks like the Facebook feed is working for me, unlike yesterday. I see that Jean is here on board. Thomas is driving, so he won't be jumping on Zoom today, but he still says he's nevertheless listening. Govinda, good morning. Caru and the assembled devotees. Bye, Bobby, Devi, Dasi. Thank you all for joining me. I can actually see you. You were not able to see me in the beginning. I was doing an impression of Salva, who would appear and disappear during the course of his fight with Krishna. But I think I'm back. I think I'm visible to you for the duration. So we're revisiting for the 7th time. Our record is 12. 12 visitations of one verse. I think it was Idam Hipam Sas Tapasa Sudashava. Sweetasha Shutasha Tibudi Abhichitodi Tigura Yadu Tamashoku Dhananavanam. How it is that the Lord is glorified with choice transcendental slokas. But we're 7 on this one. This may be our last time. We'll see. Narada Muni is speaking, 24th verse, 5th chapter, 1st canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Good morning, Rob, by the way.
Good morning, Prabhu.
It was nice to sit down and talk with you. Rob passes by Spanish Fork periodically on his way to and from Fillmore. And yeah, we had a nice discussion. Thank you for that.
No, thank you, Prabhuji.
If you have any comments or observations during the course of our talk this morning, just jump right in, Rob. No need to stand on protocol, be invited. Just jump right in and any time you want. Once again, the verse is, although they are impartial, Narada again is speaking, if you joined us more recently, to the Bhaktivedantas who are spending the 4 months of the rainy season, Chaturmas, in one place, doing austerities, increasing their kata. They're chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Their association, during the 4 months of the rainy season, they reduce bodily needs. The Bhaktivedantas often take unspiced khichdi only and eat it from a leaf on the ground without using their hands. That means they have to lean over and eat, and that contracts the stomach muscles, which causes you to eat much less. And just as we reduce our bodily needs on Ekadasi, oftentimes a devotee will not shave on Ekadasi, a devotee will not eat grain. Some devotees fast altogether, some fast from water. Such spiritual times are optimal for increasing your devotional practices and minimizing your bodily needs. And that should be an overall trend. If you're making progress in spiritual life, the best indicator of that is that your material needs are going down, 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 down. The 6 Goswamis is described in the Goswami Astakam, the 8 prayers, describing the 6 Goswamis, that their bodily needs went down almost to nil. Practically speaking, they were writing, chanting, discussing 20, 22, 23 hours a day, leaving only 1 or 2 hours for eating and sleeping. I was just reviewing Haridas Thakur today. Haridas Thakur made a vow to chant 300,000 rounds of Krishna's name every day. And when he was young, it would take him 20, 21 hours to do it, and he would have 4 whole hours for eating and sleeping. But as he got a little older, gradually it took him longer to chant his vowed number of rounds, and it went from 20 to 21 hours it took him, and then he only had 3 hours for eating and sleeping. And then as he got a little older, it took him 22 hours to chant his rounds, so he only had 2 hours for eating and sleeping. As he got a little older, it took him 23 hours to chant his 300,000 names of God. And then as he got into his 50s, late 40s and 50s, he would just barely finish his 300,000 names of God before midnight, and then have to start it up again. So there was no time for eating or sleeping. But still he was maintaining his vow. Lord Chaitanya said to him, Kon viadi kaha tadnirnana teno kahi san kirtirnana para. He was losing weight. His health wasn't optimal. Lord Chaitanya used to visit him daily, and one day Lord Chaitanya noticed his weight loss and other bodily symptoms, and he said, Kon viadi kaha tadnirnana. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Haridas Thakur, what's wrong? What's the problem? And Haridas Thakur said, there's no problem as far as material life is concerned, but I have a problem is that it's difficult for me to chant my rounds in 24 hours. In other words, Haridas could foresee the time when he would slow down even more, and then when it would take him more than 24 hours to chant his 300, then he'd be in trouble because he could no longer maintain his vow. And so Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, you've been doing this vow, strict, rigid vow, for so many decades now. Just give it a break. You've already achieved liberation. There's no doubt about your glorious future. Haridas Thakur said, I have a better suggestion. Rather than break my vow, take more than 24 hours to chant my rounds. Grant me the boon that I just leave this body. That way I will leave my body with my vow intact. It says that one's value is as good as one's vows. If one takes a God-centered vow to worship the Lord, perform some service to the Lord with consistency, the value of a person is the value of a person is according to their strict adherence to the vows they take. And someone who makes a vow and is unable to maintain that vow, it says their Shakti, their potency, leaks out just like from a pot with a crack in it. So Haridas Thakur did not want it said of him, either justly or unjustly, that he did not keep his vow. And so he told Lord Chaitanya, I have a better idea, just let me leave my body. And he also indicated that Lord Chaitanya was getting more and more carried away in his moods of bhava and prema. So Haridas Thakur could see that Lord Chaitanya wasn't going to stay himself very much longer in the world, and Haridas Thakur knew that he would not be able to bear the separation of the Lord. So he asked the Lord, let me leave before you. Let me not survive you, number one, and let me not break my vow, 300,000. So, of course, you probably all know this story. Lord Chaitanya came to him the very next morning, and he allowed Haridas Thakur to bow down, grab the feet of Lord Chaitanya, and as he was grabbing the feet, he looked up at the lotus face of Lord Chaitanya, and in full Krishna consciousness, just like the bee is diving right into the middle of the flower to drink the honey, Haridas Thakur left his body, went back home, back to God, and Lord Chaitanya danced with his body, and with his own hands, Lord Chaitanya dug the grave, put the sand over his body. Lord Chaitanya went to the market there in Jagannath Puri, begged the ingredients for a huge feast, fed hundreds and hundreds of people, chanted, danced, and celebrated the glorious departure of Haridasa Kaur. And if you've been to Jagannath Puri, there's a wonderful temple on the beach there, which is covers the Samadhi, or it consists of the Samadhi Mandir of Haridasa Kaur. Very sweet. There's a little enclosure with a locked gate. In there are his japa beads, the very same beads on which he chanted 300,000 names of God a day. So these are some reflections on the Bhaktiveddantas and how they minimize their bodily needs and maximize their devotional practice, especially during the 4 months of Chaturmas, 4 continuous months. Otherwise, during the year, they take the twice a monthly Ekadasi days as opportunities to increase their devotional practices. Now, how do we go from that to discussing the beauty of Krishna, which is what we did yesterday? We quoted several verses from the Brahma Samhita. We quoted Vidyapati Shmaran Magi Traya Pajatam Sachivishanam Disham Bamsina Dishtara Kishamdaram. If you're attracted at all to family, friends, and country, then do not go to see the smiling face of Krishna standing in threefold bending form underneath the moonlight by the banks of the Yamuna playing his flute, because you'll experience an ocean of happiness. Happiness derived from family, friends, and love is like a drop of happiness. But we're deserts. We're vast deserts, dried up for lack of the oceanic love of Krishna. A single drop of water in the desert has no real value. It doesn't make any difference at all. So if you're attached to your drop of water, your drop of pleasure in terms of family, friends, and country, don't go to see Krishna playing his flute in the moonlight on the bank of the Yamuna River, because then you'll start experiencing much, 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 much greater happiness. You'll have dipped your toe in the ocean of happiness, and you'll be on your way to the full satisfaction of the soul. Savai pum samparo damo yato bhaktira haitukiya bhaktira yat pashupashidati. The highest occupational duty of a living being is to be a good father. No. It's to be a good husband. No. It's to be a good employee. No. It's to be a good citizen. No. Not that these things aren't important. Devotees are scrupulous in terms of maintaining their mundane duties, but the highest priority on their list of things to achieve in this human form of life is pure, unadulterated love of Krishna. And so, if you want to avoid this prime imperative of the human form of life, then by all means avoid intersecting with Krishna or Krishna's devotees or Krishna's prasadam or Krishna's festivals. Rob and I were talking last night about eternally conditioned souls and eternally liberated souls. We believe that all souls will eventually find their way back to the feet of Lord Krishna. But it won't happen automatically. Neither will Krishna drag us there. We have to make that choice. We have to come to the point of wanting the elements of devotional service, of wanting the ingredients. It says, Akshano phalam tadisha darshanam hi tanu phalam tadisha gadarkasham jiva phalam tadisha kirtanam hi sudurabhadabhi garai. The perfection of the eyes is to see the beautiful form and to see the devotees of the Lord in congregation, in kirtan, or assembled to observe a festival, take prasadam. The perfection of the tongue is to sing the kirtan in the association of devotees. The perfection of the arms is to rub shoulders with the other devotees in the kirtan or in the temple, in the mandir. But if you're not interested in achieving the perfection of the human form of life, then by all means avoid intersecting with Krishna consciousness. So on one level, we're all meant to find our way back to the lotus feet of Krishna. And Krishna spares no effort to prompt us from within the heart, to inspire us from scriptural authority, and to bring us into the path of devotees who are engaged in the service of the Lord. But it's still possible to remain conditioned eternally. It's still possible never, ever to regain the lotus feet of Krishna if you are bound and determined to avoid all those things. If you have a predisposition to run away whenever there's a chanting of Hare Krishna, or block your ears, or avoid the association of non-devotees by seeking out the association of those who are attached to intoxication, illicit sex, and gambling, Never eat prasadam. Eat as much meat as you can. Don't even eat vegetables or even mashed potatoes. Then it's actually possible that you'll remain eternally conditioned. That you'll never get out of this material world, that you'll never step off the wheel of samsara, the cycle of birth, death, disease, and malaria. But if for some reason or somehow or other, due to the causeless mercy of the Lord, one does come into the association of devotees, or accidentally or even unknowingly take prasadam, or hear kirtan, maybe you listen in Kmart, that maybe the My Sweet Lord comes onto the soundtrack at Kmart or Walmart. Who knows? The Lord has his ways. And once a do shado tado sort of thing, just takes a little drop, a little taste of that nectar, which is totally different in quality than the mundane gross pleasures that we seek after in this material world. If somehow or other one gets a taste, either knowingly or unknowingly, consciously or unconsciously, of devotional food, then he's never the same again. Then he or she will end up back to home, back to God. But as long as they scrupulously avoid the elements of devotional service, avoid devotees, avoid the purified diet of prasadam, then yes, there's no hope. But then they can go from eternally conditioned to eternally liberated. They're eternally conditioned until they're eternally liberated. Let's put it that way. They're eternally revolving the cycle of birth, death, disease, until they're not. And that turnaround is always affected some or other by pure devotees of the Lord who tax their brains to figure out how to relieve the fallen conditioned souls from their suffering in this material world. Prahlad Maharaj severely criticizes those who seek for their own salvation without extending their help to others. Prayena deva munya shovi mukta kama monam charati vigani natarita bisham netad toya kripanam vimukshamako nanyatvarasha saranam maham prapade. Prahlad Maharaj looks down his nose at those austere yogis and tapasis who seek for their own salvation, indifferent to the suffering of the living beings swimming in the Vaitaranya ocean. He says they are kripanam. They are miserly who seek for their own salvation. They don't have any problem with achieving liberation, leaving behind. It's like there's a sinking ship and you take the lifeboat all for yourself, not caring about all those others who are going down under the waves with the ship. Or however laudable their penances and austerities and resolution, determination, and stamina might be, in the end of the day, Prahlad Maharaj, pure devotee, defines them as kripana, as cripple-minded people who don't care anything for the sufferings of others. Another great devotee, his name was Rantidev. He says, Nakamaya ham gatim bhagavad pratim ashtari di yena aparnavavabhai artim prabhade kirade vajam antashtita yena bhavanti adukaham. Maharaj Rantidev, whose heart went out to suffering people everywhere, he said, Nakamaya ham bhagavad pratim. I don't really, my highest desire is not in fact to go alone to the shelter of Krishna's lotus feet, nor is it to accrue to myself the perfections of the eightfold mystic practices, nor do I even want aparna bhavam, freedom from birth, death, disease, and old age, nor do I want moksha. He's saying he doesn't even want to go to Krishna. He doesn't want liberation. He doesn't want mystic yogi powers. Artim prabhade kiradeha bhajam. What he really wants is to surrender to the mission of the Lord, canvassing throughout the three worlds for lost, conditioned souls, and some or other relieving them from the darkness of ignorance and bringing them back home, back to God. But rather than leaving the ship on the only available lifeboat, abandoning those who are sinking, those who are in the mood of Prahlad Maharaj, in the mood of Rantidev, they don't want to leave the ship until everybody else has been rescued on the lifeboats. They want not to be the first to leave, but to be the last to leave. And so we come to the the beauty of Krishna through the super excellent process of devotional service. We're not talking about one's own selfish liberation. We're not talking about unique and extraordinary powers of yoga or stamina or a dazzling intellect. We're talking not about the suppression of desires, but rather serving the Lord, allowing oneself to be an instrument of the Lord in his great mission of ridding the fallen conditioned souls of the reactions from their sinful activities. The process is so natural. We have desires. We're full of desires. Desires are innate to the soul. So the process of Krishna consciousness is just somehow or other getting that appetite, whetting that appetite for desiring the lotus feet of Krishna. After all, he's the most heroic. He's the most witty. He's the most intelligent. He's the most beautiful. He's the best flute player. He's the best singer. He's the best dancer. Adaram madaram 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 nayaram madaram asaram madaram maridiyam madaram gamaram madaram maradayadi patyaram madaram bacharam madaram charitam madaram basanam madaram maridam madaram charitam madaram brahmatam madaram maradayadi patyaram madaram. He's the best flute player. He's the best dancer. He's the best friend. He's the best speaker. He's the best of everything. Every quality that's desirable, that's attractive, originates in Krishna. And when you go for Krishna, you don't leave aside anything else. There's nothing that you're missing out on. You're going to the source, the reservoir of all good qualities. Many, many great liberated saints and sages who have turned their back on material qualities, material allurements, elevation to the highest planet, mystic yogi powers, even liberation themselves, they are addicted. They cannot, for a moment, forget about the qualities of Krishna. That tells us that the qualities of Krishna are transcendental. They're not ordinary. And whereas desires for material, temporary things often cause us misery and suffering and bind us to this material world, that's those same desires, when you're purified to serve Krishna and Krishna's devotees, are the means of liberation. Kapil tells his mother, Pashavam Vajanam Pasham Atmanokam, Sayevasharam, Moksha Dwaram Apavitam. Kapil tells his mother, the door of liberation, Krishna consciousness, is thrown wide open when one associates with devotees. When one associates with non-devotees, the door to liberation is slammed shut and the door to hell is open. But it's not that you give up association. It's not that because of association with materialistic people that you go to hellish conditions. And the answer, the resolution is not to give up association, but to transfer your association from those who are mundaners to those who are transcendentalists. So one way or another, association is the key. Association opens the door to hellish conditions, or a better type of association opens the door to the spiritual world. So association is key. We associate with the devotees, and we associate with the Lord by chanting his holy names. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 40th verse, 7th chapter, 1st canto, Atmanomastimuni and the Granti Kurvanti Haitakimitam Uttam Punta Ganaharim. All sorts of Atmaramas, those who take pleasure in the Atma, the spiritual self, those on the path of self-realization, even though they're freed from all kinds of material bondage, they don't read novels, they don't go to the movies on Saturday night, and yet they still desire to render service to that Supreme Personality of Godhead. That means that the Lord's qualities are not mundane. The qualities are of such a super excellent nature that they'll attract all souls, not only the conditioned mundaners, but also the liberated souls as well. What is the verse? The pastimes of Krishna attract the high intellects of especially gifted, intelligent philosophers and scientists. But they also satisfy the hankerings of the ordinary man to read about politics and conspiracies and battles and martial arts and love affairs. And whatever level you're on, reading about the qualities of Krishna as they're described, especially in the Srimad Bhagavatam, as well as in other literature like the Mahabharata, is going to satisfy all types of people. And why is that? Of course, in the material world, some people like Tom Cruise, and some people like Steven Seagal, and some people like, I don't know, you can see how dated I am. It's been years and years since I followed any celebrities of the silver screen. But different people like different celebrities for their qualities, for their looks, for the way they speak, or the way they handle themselves. But everybody, without exception, when they read from the right sources or hear from the right sources about the glories, the qualities of the Lord, everybody is attracted. Not only those living beings in human forms, but even parrots, dogs, cats, cows, llama, deer. There's a verse in the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam that the deers, they love fresh grasses. They love fresh grasses. There's nothing a grazer, a ruminant, a deer, or a llama likes better than the short, fresh, tender, recent shoots of grasses. But they pause there, and when the animals who graze are grazing, there's this beautiful sound. It's like on a spring day when there's fresh grass after a rain, and you go near the llamas, you'll hear. Can you guess what that is? It's them tearing the grass, and then rolling it back in the back of them and chewing it and sucking out all the juice out of it. It says the deer, when they hear Krishna's flute, they stop in mid-chew. Can you imagine that? They've got all this palatable juice in their mouth, and they forget to swallow. They stop in mid-chew, and their ears perk up, and they become like statues, and they simply fall into the sound of Krishna's flute. If that's true for even the lower animals, how much more true for the human beings? And the reason is described in the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, 14th chapter, 7th verse. Gunamanas tepi gunamatam hitavanirsha kaishar kaleniya va vimatasha kapir bhupamsake nyava hapikshaham. It is said, in time, given enough time, given a sufficient lifespan, certainly a lot more than 100 years that Kali Yuga affords us. It says, in time, learned philosophers and scientists might be able to count all the atoms of the earth, the particles of snow, or perhaps even the shining molecules radiating from the sun, the stars, and other luminaries. But it says, who could possibly count the unlimited transcendental qualities possessed by Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has descended from the spiritual world onto the surface of the earth to reveal those qualities, attract all living beings, and guide them back to home, back to God. Now, I want to point out something interesting about this verse. The particles of earth, the snowflakes, and the units of light emanating from the sun. Starting with gross. Let's say you could count the gross things. The particles of earth on this planet. Okay, once you've done that, then you go to another level of difficulty. The snowflakes. Snowflakes only last for a few seconds, so you have to be really quick. If you're going to count the snowflakes, you have to be really quick. You can't take your time like with the earth. You're proceeding to another level of difficulty when you go from earth to water, to counting drops of water, particles of snowflake. And then the third category is particles of light from the sun. You see the increasing level of difficulty. Earth is gross, relatively easy to count. Water is really, it's slippery, it's elusive. I don't know how you can count water. And then particles of sunlight. Has anyone even ever seen a particle of sunlight? So if you're going to count any of these things to any degree whatsoever, you need special qualities. You can't be an ordinary, mundane, atheistic scientist. You have to be especially favored by the Lord if you can even begin, even dip your little toe into this process. Now, let me tell you, there's one personality who's done all of that, notwithstanding the different levels of difficulty. Does anybody know who that is? There's one personality who has counted all the atoms in the earth, all the drops of water in the ocean, all the snowflakes, as well as all the particles of light. There's one person who has those mathematical numbers in his head. Does anybody know who it is? It is Shankarshan, or Ananta Shesha, the multi-headed serpent upon whom Lord Vishnu reposes while Lakshmi serves his lotus feet. Shankarshan has done all that. He is counted as numerous as they are finite. There is a finite number of particles of earth, drops of water, particles of light. It's a vast number, stupefying to us, but it is finite. So Shankarshan, or Ananta Rupa, has counted all that. He's aware of those quantities, and yet he still has not come to the end of describing the glories of the Lord. And the reason is that the Lord is not just the recipient of good qualities, but he is the origin. He is the soul of all good qualities. He is the soul of all superior qualities. We may read in a philosophical essay or a sociological essay about the desirability of such qualities as generosity, intelligence, mercy, forgiveness, and kindness. But it's all just academic. It's all just theoretical. Lord Krishna descended from the spiritual world, revealed himself to the eyes of ordinary human beings 5,300 years ago in order to put a face, a personality to those qualities. He himself personally personifies, exhibits all godly qualities in himself, and he encourages us by his appearance. He's saying to us by his appearance, you are created in my image. You are also perfect, pure, good, pristine, full of peace, love, and consideration. You turn your attention away from dark, dull, inert matter. Focus on me and my devotees and those qualities, that fire of me. I am the soul of all souls. It's like an ember is shot out of the fire, and the further away it goes from the fire, and the longer it's separated from the fire, the more the surface of the ember becomes cool. It's red hot initially, but if it's shot out 3 or 4 feet from the fire, then it becomes cool on the surface. But the fire is still within it. The fire is still within it. So even those souls who have forgotten God and become indifferent to God or even atheistic, Krishna is signaling to us by his appearing here in our dimension, in our relatively recent history, that the fire is not lost. We can recover it. We can revive it. It's not lost. Krishna has never left us, just like the fire never leaves the ember. Krishna is asserting to us that you are good, you are pure, you are creative, you are talented, you are interesting, you are capable of loving deep, meaningful relationships, not because of who you are, but because of who I am inside of you. When Krishna appeared in the arena of Kamsa, there was a huge assembly. There was an amphitheater full of thousands and thousands of people. And it's described in the Krishna book, I don't have the exact quotes in front of me, that everybody saw Krishna differently. There was some attractive feature in Krishna that attracted each and every person in that amphitheater in a different way. Krishna is not one size fits all. He has a distinct, individual, unique, personal relationship with each and every one of us. And he reveals himself not the same to any two living beings. However number of countless living beings there are, Krishna reveals himself to each and every living being in exactly the way that fully satisfies that living being. There is no end to Krishna's qualities. Therefore, he never exhausts his repertoire of manifestations. Sanatan Goswami explains that Krishna exhibits a specific spiritual quality for the benefit of each living being. That means Krishna is not the same for any two living beings. He says, since there are innumerable living entities within the confines of the material creation, the Lord manifests infinite qualities. Thus, every conditioned soul can appreciate the Supreme Lord in a particular way, which is unique to him and only him. And when we think about that, let's call up some examples of how Krishna appeared uniquely to certain people. Tashyadavinda Nayanasya Paradavinda Kanjalka Talashimakan Antargata Shavi Venesh Shankshama Makajustam Apichidatanbo, the four Kumaras. They were steeped in impersonalism. And yet when they smelled the fragrance, the aroma of the tulsi leaves, anointed with the pulp of sandalwood, emanating from the toes of the lotus feet of the Lord, they were attracted to the Lord in that unique way. The Lord knew exactly how to catch them up. He wafted in their direction the fragrance of tulsi leaves and sandalwood, which had been offered at his lotus feet. Moving to Sukadeva Goswami, Sukadeva Goswami was attracted Satam Prashangam Bhavirya Sambido Bhavan Krida Radoni to Joshana Shu Shadhara Tir Bhaktira Nukamishini. Sukadeva Goswami was attracted by the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. He also appeared in the womb of his mother as an impersonalist, as a liberated soul, and yet, as his father Vyasadeva read to him the pages of the Srimad Bhagavatam, he awakened from within himself an unalterable, an irrevocable, and irreversible attraction to the pastimes of the Lord. And that means, in both these cases, fully liberated souls, the four Kumaras, Sukadeva, fully liberated, they were attracted by the qualities of the Lord, thus proving that the Lord's qualities are not mundane. Moving to the cowherd dams of Braja, they were attracted by the bodily features of the Lord. It would seem that the gopis were lusting after Krishna, just like young girls lust after young boys, and vice versa. But it is said in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Don haraka vibhina laksha loa aya yaicha surupaham. Iron and gold are both metals, but they're not the same thing. Similarly, lust and love are both emotions, but lust is love perverted. Lust is love misdirected towards temporary material things. The attraction that the cowherd damsels felt for Krishna was love and not lust, and it was unique. The attraction that each and every one of them felt for Krishna was unique. Rukmini, she never met Krishna. She wanted to marry him, she wanted to kidnap her, to whisk her away from all the handsome and talented and wealthy kings, without ever even having set eyes on the Lord. She was attracted by hearing about the Lord. Each and every living being is attracted to the Lord in a way that's unique to them. The elderly ladies of Vrindavan are not attracted to Krishna in the same way that the cowherd girls are attracted to him. They're attracted to him as parents. They want to look after him. They want to watch his back. They want to protect him from bad association and evil influences like that. And then the males, what about the gopas and the elder males of Vrindavan? They're attracted to Krishna as a friend, as a mentor, as a peer, as a guy to have adventures with, as a guy to do man talk and do man things with. There's no limit to the flavors by which one can be attracted to the Lord. We have Baskin Robbins. I think they're reduced to 50-some flavors. If I'm not mistaken, they were once up to 100 and some flavors. But Krishna, as many living beings as there are throughout all the species of life, in all the material world, Krishna has a flavor for each and every one of those. We say, Hari Bo, Hari Bo. Hari means the Lord who takes away everything inauspicious by awarding devotees pure devotional service. The Lord Hari, he takes away anything which is standing between us and Krishna. He knows, like a snake, how to wiggle his way into our hearts. And the only people who are going to not be blessed by devotional service are those who are expert in avoiding Krishna consciousness, avoiding festivals, and avoiding the devotees. We have the Festival of Colors every year, and the vast majority of people love it. You know, their grandsons have been, their sons have been, they have been in their own time. It's just there's no negative about it. There's no reason not to like it, and yet some people find a reason to like it. They say that Hare Krishnas have drugs in the powder, or they say that traffic is a nightmare. Traffic is not a nightmare. It hasn't been a nightmare since 2012, but people still say traffic is. They're just like the flies, which never look for honey. The flies always look for a wound. They're always looking and trying to sniff out an open wound. So some people are, rather than being swan-like and taking the nectar of Krishna consciousness and taking that which is obviously beneficial, which is obviously purifying, which is obviously loving, which is obviously good for everyone, they want to take or manufacture some negative spin or some negative connotation on it. You wouldn't believe some of the things that a few people write on Google reviews about the Festival of Colors. The vast majority of reviews are 5-star reviews. Best day of my life. The food was great. The people were so loving. Just what we need after COVID. But some people manage to spin the whole festival negatively. It's very difficult for Krishna, as expert and as wiggly as he is, to find his way into the hearts of those people. It says, who can avoid being attracted to the process and the practitioners of Krishna consciousness? Kashtam tu anita parichatam rite pashamashatam nama asyam kuryam nama kuryat parichatam tad viratam virajam. Seeing the mass of people fall in the river of suffering, who can remain aloof or indifferent or apart from the joyous congregational process of devotional service? Who can do that? Only those whose hearts are still framed, who are bound and determined not to be blessed in Krishna consciousness. Formerly, the Varnashram system was comprehensive. Its tentacles, its influence was spread throughout all of society, from the upper classes all the way through the warrior class, the mercantile class, to the Sudra class. Everybody was hooked up. Yata pravita bhutanam yanisaram shakamana siddhim vidanti. Everybody was on the path of perfection because the Varnashram system was set up specifically to bring each and every member of society to the lotus feet of Krishna. It was a scientific process that everybody on one level or another was connected with Krishna consciousness. We don't have any Varnashram. We don't have any systematic way to attain Krishna consciousness in this day and age. We have so many negative influences. We have so much opposition from various quarters. Even the Brahmino class were cursed in a previous age to take, even those who are in the Brahminical class in this Kali Yuga age were said to have been demons, cursed to take birth as Brahmins in the Kali Yuga, and we're also cursed to have, as Brahmins in the Kali Yuga, former Rakshasas. So everything's topsy-turvy. Nothing is as it should be. And so when Sutta Goswami came into the assembly of the sages of Naimisharanya, they didn't want him to discourse on the vast, voluminous Vedas. They didn't want him to make his bhashyas, commentaries on arcane verses of the Vedas. They wanted him not to waste time. They wanted him to get directly to the point. And they said, Muniya Sadhya Prishtam Baba, do you have something to tell us about Krishna? Because Krishna is the gold of the Vedas, the compiler of the Vedas, the purport of the Vedas. If you read the whole Vedas, you follow the whole Varnashram system, and you don't become Krishna consciousness, it's all a waste of time, because the whole purpose of the Vedas, the whole purpose of austerities, the purpose of yoga, the purpose of studying scriptures, the purpose of giving in charity, the purpose of the cultivation of knowledge and science and arts and literature and dance, all of it is to come and find shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna. So what is the essence of all human endeavor, what is the essence of all human knowledge, Bahunam Jamanam Te Gyanavam Bhavsadeva Sarvamiti Samahatmas are delivered. Those who are actually Mahatmas, those who are actually progressive living beings, will eschew all of their lesser endeavors, all lesser paths, and trod the path that the previous devotees of the Lord have trod. Mahajena Yena Gata Sabanta. They will seek the perfection of the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, following the footsteps of the previous acharyas. Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Wow, I'm just now scrolling down through the Facebook comment section. I didn't realize Prashant was with us here. Now he's following. Sriyapatir Yajapati Param, Yampatir Lokapatir, Patir Gadastanam, Pashidam Ne Bhagavan Satam, the perfection of life, to attain the lotus feet of Krishna. Govinda Dev says, is it true also that each jiva has something to offer the Lord that no one else can? Yes, that is the flip side, that Krishna has some way of attracting you, which is unique to you. He doesn't attract any two living beings the same way. He has an unlimited repertoire. He has a bag with unlimited qualities, and he pulls out what is specifically compelling to you. The flip side of that is he created you in such a way that you can serve him in a way that nobody else can serve him. That your contribution to the Krishna conscious mission is going to be unique. You may be able to communicate, to explain verbally to people, or you may be not so verbally glib, but you're a person of great deep integrity and empathy. People are attracted to you. They want what you have. You may be able to write poetry. You may be able to fix computers. You may be able to do websites or be a car mechanic, an architect, a doctor. There's a whole hospital in Bombay full of doctors treating the patients from the point of view of body, mind, and soul. So yes, I'm glad that Govinda Dev brought up that point. That's a whole subject for another lecture, how it is that each and every one of us is created not as carbon copies, but uniquely equipped to render a particular, invaluable, irreplaceable service to the Lord and to our fellow living beings. So I'm going to sign off here on Wisdom Wednesday. We'll see you again next Monday. But after I sign off, I'm going to enjoy scrolling through these quotes and reliving the quotes that Prashant has put up on the board, and I invite you to do the same. Okay. Prashant is doing a great service here by posting all of the various references that we pulled up this morning. Rob, any concluding comments?
Thank you, Prabhuji. That was a great talk today. The image that keeps jumping into my mind is if you've been to a pet store and the pet store employee is trying to get one of the fish out of the aquarium with the little net. That fish is darting all over that little aquarium, doing everything it can to get away from that net, not realizing that that net is probably the best thing that could happen to it because it's going to get it out of that aquarium. It's going to get it to a home where it'll be cared for and loved and fed and nurtured. And I just can't help but thinking that that net is Krishna's love. And when we stop trying to run away from it and we actually embrace it, that we can go back to home, back to Godhead.
What a great point. And if that fish, I might even speculate further that if that fish stays in that aquarium long enough, it'll probably be eaten by a bigger fish as well.
Right? It'll be a miserable existence.
So true. Nice story to take away. Thank you very much. Thanks, Thomas. Thanks, Jean. Thanks, Brent. Thanks, Bye Bobby, Govinda Dev, Mahatmas coming on board more and more often. Madhava's been with us from the very beginning, not every day, but consistently. Raquel, also Grandma Raquel. Again, Grandma. I'm sure the recently born child is not your only grandchild, or maybe they are. No, I think you have other grandchildren. So you're expert at being a grandma. That's our conclusion. Thomas, thank you very much. We'll finish today with an appreciative, grateful heart and look forward to being with you all next Monday. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.